happy comic book day and how you be. Thank you to Bad Mary for that too sweet playing. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is U.S. Comics Cast, Chapter 2, Episode 28 for the people. John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of U.S. Comics here, and you there.
And that wildly different introduction leads me into my normal introduction. I am your co-host. I am your co-founder. I am your hybrid panda, and I'm the most electrifying COO in all the multiverse. Happy comic book
It
day,
is
John.
true, Charlie. Happy comic book day. I am still aglow from our very own Pete Alonso's home run derby championship. That's the reason why I had to throw out a little love to WFAN Schmooze, Steve Summers. I borrowed just a little touch of his introduction. So as
When
always,
you're
thank you to
in
the
the
Schmooze.
middle of a contest and
Mhm.
you just are boogieing, you're like, yeah.
You know it.
So disrespectful. So
Oh.
very New York. I love it.
He is ready for his AEW debut.
Him
He
and
was
yeah.
throwing off vibes, professional wrestling vibes. I
It
loved it.
was you loved to see it. The sports world needs a new character now that McGregor's leg exploded. So it might as well be the man himself.
I mean, if you're gonna have that level, the Conor McGregor swagger, you should at least have the ability to back it up. And our boy Alonso does it. He has it in spades.
I mean,
But what's going on by you, Chucky boy?
I'm just trucking. I'm just trucking along. The weather can't decide if it's hot, cold, if there's a tornado. We don't know what the heck's going on. The world is at least getting a little bit more normal. My little Ghostbuster group had back-to-back events this last weekend, so I was blessed by breezy weather and good times being had by all. But it's nice
I did notice there was a sufficiently less ghosts floating around, as per usual. So
you're welcome.
I do appreciate that.
You're welcome, but mostly, I'm just fully embracing what's left of this kind of digital entertainment age. As much as I love movie theaters, there's something super convenient of like, it's 11 o'clock and I'm not ready for bed. Let's watch just a blockbuster from the comfort of my living room. And there's like no time limit on the. Everyone complains about Disney Plus and their $30 rentals. You just have it for 3 months till it's available on the thing you already pay for.
Disney Plus is changing the game. Never mind their amazing original content. Put that up on a shelf. Put it high up so the kids can't get to it and get their fingers dirty. The fact of the matter is that whenever, and myself included, when Disney Plus first came out and said, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and make available to you all this fresh new content. However, in addition, also as well as the dollar amount that you're spending monthly to get all of our other great content, this is going to cost you a little something extra. And just by like instinct, we got defensive. And by we, I mean Charlie and myself. But I know that I'm speaking for a lot of other people, just like instantly defensive. How dare you try to take another dollar of my my hard-earned ducats? But the fact of the matter is that I even had a misunderstanding about it, and Charlie, I think you did as well. I thought it was like you were renting a flick from Apple or from Amazon or what have you.
Correct.
No, it's yours, and I think
Premier Access, which I think is what it's called.
That's exactly right. Rather than having to go to the COVID-infected theater of your choice, you're able to stay on the COVID-infected couch of your choice in your very own home. But
that's my COVID.
Exactly.
I'm allowed to bask in that.
It's color-coded COVID. But also as well as Nick Roll pending. Also as well as you keep it's forever yours. So that 3-month window that I was referring to you, that I referred to you, that's just the 3-month window before it becomes available on Disney Plus to everybody.
It's
so
awesome.
Yeah, you've got it that 3-month exclusivity window that other peons who didn't, lay out the $30 may not have. But then when it opens up to everybody, you still have it. So
And also, I
the
didn't
redheaded
realize.
wonder herself is ours permanently.
I
That's what I'm
also
trying to
didn't
say.
realize that like it's 3 months or until another premiere access because like now Cruella's free, so
Right.
it's
Well,
just
that
like
that
you
window.
bumped it.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been 3 months for Cruella. It's just Black Widow showed up and she was like, "Out my way, bitch! Pew pew!"
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
like knocked
there's
it out a month and a half.
they
So it's
have
even more
another they have another
freemium.
premiere access flick coming up. So I wonder if that
I
also
I
will shrink the window. I don't know.
I
I
think
don't know
so,
if that's the
but
case.
you hit the nail on the head talking about butts. All gonna get canceled. But Black Widow is in theaters. It's in our homes. We gotta do it. It's a tradition. Put them thumbs in the middle, like we're about to
Oof.
watch Maximus
All right.
do work. All right, and in 3, 2, 1.
Two thumbs up for
Oh!
our listening audience. Two
I
thumbs up.
I really, really enjoyed it. I do have some criticisms, but we're gonna give everybody
Shocking.
like the fifth.
Shocking.
We're gonna give those of you that for some reason are listening to this show but
Yeah.
haven't seen the movie yet, which seems like it wouldn't be the order.
Understandable. Maybe
Um,
some people they're intending to go get some buttery movie theater popcorn, shove it in their face, and they're holding out. They're making it last.
So
Possible.
if you're watching this outside of our premiere window, you can go ahead and fast forward until you see our spoiler warning go away, which will be in about 15 minutes so the adults can talk. Those of
Yeah.
us who will skip sleep to
Slackers.
to to see the newest and the truest. I'm gonna kick it right to you at first.
All right.
Again, I'm gonna specify I really liked it. I think if you like a majority of the Marvel films, if you're 99% of the movie going
Oh, Charlie's
audience,
prefacing already.
I think you're gonna really, really enjoy it. I'm gonna throw in it does not. I have to really think of what my top 10 would be. It doesn't break into my top five, which has been pretty
Of
consistent, but
Marvel flicks
of Marvel
slash
specifically,
projects.
correct,
Okay.
including the co-opted ones like Venom and stuff. I include in that.
Oh wow. Okay.
It did
Are you
a hell.
including the Japanese Spider-Man TV show?
Oh, I
Because
am
that's a
because
banger.
that's way low despite the robot. I thought everyone that showed up did work. I think everyone came in. I think the performances were all great. That's my compliment section for now. I'm gonna kick it to you. Initial thoughts, initial feelings.
So
Where does it
Charlie is
fall?
doing the extended compliment sandwich.
Exactly
I,
right.
I get it. I get it.
Yep.
You're like a little bit of a John coleslaw on the side. You know what? I'm going to freely admit that at risk of coming across maybe as sexist, which anyone who knows me knows that's not the case. Some of my very favorite comic book characters are indeed female. I may have come up with single-handedly more female comic book characters than any other Puerto Rican picaroon that you know. However, I was not a super huge fan of the Black Widow myself personally. I felt that she was, you know what it really is? It's the fact that her place in the team dynamic, and she was just kind of like she was belched out into the team. She didn't have this original flick, but having seen the flick, now you know why. Had this movie come before all of her other contributions to the ongoing Marvel cinematic universe, it wouldn't have had as much punch as far as I'm concerned. The fact that we got to see her evolve is probably a strong word. The fact of the matter is that she was malleable
Yeah.
throughout all of the other flicks that we've seen her at. Now, it's almost like saying that you don't like a joke before you've heard the punchline. So I was kind of taking in all of her appearances, and it was like just a constant shift for me. Like in one episode, one installment, oh well, she's there as the as like a motivating force for Clint, like to be like a buddy cop relationship with Clint Barton to make him a little bit more relevant, because bows and arrows, when you're talking about gods and monsters and superheroes and stuff like that, is kind of a tough sell. But if he's got a buddy that he can kind of crack wise with, that'll make it more palatable. Okay, so that comes and goes. Now you're gonna she's got another chapter. Okay, so her role now is she's got to keep Banner on the wraps. Like she's the person that is able to talk Hulk down off of the freak out ledge. Okay, that's fine. Also, as well as, here's another installment. She's fucking flirting with everybody. She's got like a borderline sexual relationship with almost every fucking major character, and I'm sitting here thinking, that's sexist. Like I almost kind of like felt bad for the character that I knew from the comics for being somewhat trivialized. And what's interesting though is I did like how she was used around Iron Man, and I know that's
Her
gotten a lot of
with
flack
Iron Man
lately.
2, her first
the
appearance.
the commentary, like, oh, I want, like, that I didn't feel. And obviously I'm not a lady, but I didn't see an issue with that, mainly because it was more of a commentary of like, oh, it was not a commentary of this is how we treat beautiful women. It was more of a commentary of, he's a dick.
Yeah.
Stark is a dick. He's showing you some of his sleaze right now, and that also made his evolution of a character mean more. So that's my long answer. My short answer is, I really love this movie in a large part because I didn't love a lot of her installments prior to this. So it's almost like I went in with kind of a low level of expectation. I'm like, all right, I
Sometimes
don't
that's
want
the
to be left
best.
behind. My FOMO, flared up, and I said, oh, I don't want to miss anything. And I'm sitting there like, I'm loving this. I loved every fucking minute of it. I thought it was so great, and also as well as the fact that she is now deceased in the story arc. It made everything so much more bittersweet. And I did have to think back of like all her other installments, all the shit that she went through, both on the screen, on the page, and in my own mind, where I'm like, oh, she's this and she's that. I'm the jerk.
Yeah.
I'm the jerk because she is actually an awesome character, and it was a fantastic way for her to close her
Yeah,
chapter, so to speak.
I'm so glad she got a solo movie. I,
Yeah,
like a lot of people, would have loved a badass spy thriller to have happened years ago. I wouldn't have kicked a 2-pack of Black Widow movies out of my life. One before
sure.
she dies, one after. I think this movie could have still happened, even if we got like a her. For a long time, there was rumors of her and Hawkeye having like a team up movie.
See, but then it's a team up movie. This is my
Totally.
point. This was her thing. And even though she was surrounded by very interesting characters, some people might argue like more interesting characters than her. And some other people might even argue she was like outshone in some
Like a
sections.
very
But
mini pseudo passing of the torch, even.
I'm 100% absolutely. But I'm looking at her entire canon, the entire filmography, as it were. So like, I had like a Green Day playing in the back. I bet you had the time of my life, and I'm like remembering in slow motion and black and white all the little moments that she had, and yeah, I think this movie honestly would not have worked as well as it did if it had come any
Oh,
earlier than
I
now. I thought
agree.
the
This
timing of it was perfect. I would have liked it a year ago,
I would have liked it.
but that's COVID.
Yeah, I would have loved it a year ago. I think it still would have played. I will say this though. Let me get into a little bit of my criticism.
All
Now
right.
I'm fully saying I fully enjoyed it. I'm absolutely going to watch it again. I'm looking forward to watching it again. I think all the performances were stellar, including hers. I do wish, and this is generally my complaint about a lot of Marvel projects, and it's what makes my top 5 kind of unique. When Marvel really captivates me, it's when they go all in and all out. And what I wanted when I was daydreaming about a Black Widow movie, because I like the character enough from what we've had cinematically, but also from the comics and her different. I wanted a badass like Bond movie. And one thing I found very, very interesting was a set of teeth I think they took away from her. Perhaps I think they were overcorrecting
Mhm.
because she has so little. This is going to be a difficult topic to talk about, but give me a second.
So I can
She
get a
has
new partner.
she has like no there's nothing about her that she doesn't have a moment where she gets to be sexy. And by that I don't mean in the Iron Man 2
Oh,
way. I'm talking about in the Captain America way. Do not put your no, we're not done eating. Um
oh
think
no, cool,
about
cool. I'm just gonna
think
go to the bathroom
about
real quick. There's a
no,
window in there, right?
no. Think about what we've gotten with the likes of Chris Hemsworth, Chris
Oh,
Pratt, Thor, Tony Stark, Ant-Man. Every single one of them have had this scene where their snackosity, their personal trainers that they worked with for 6 months got showcased. Why the fuck was Ant-Man topless if not to like give the audience something? And much like Daniel Craig coming out of the water in his first at bat as James Bond, and our boy Henry Cavill getting half butt naked as often as he can, playing Superman, playing an Olympic god, playing a lawyer. Henry Cavill's losing his shirt. Damn James Bond movie, he was like, well, gotta take off the tie and this shirt to wrap my hands. There is a certain amount of there's a way to do it that isn't tacky and that's not necessarily even being sold to
uh,
have a sex appeal. For me, a staple of a James Bond movie is like infiltrating this thing by being a playboy or being whatever. He's the coolest fucking guy. She has no scenes where
well,
she's
Ken,
the baddest
if
bitch
I
on the
may,
planet.
if I
You
may,
may.
let me try to preserve my partnership level here. Um, as a creator yourself, knowing how that script was laid out in terms of plot, where would
No, no,
you have
no.
inserted something like that?
Again, that's why it's a criticism that doesn't take away from the film. The film they made was not this
So
film I was
you'd want like a
expecting.
different, like almost like a different script.
Yeah, I was fully anticipating, even with the bones of this, I thought there was going to be a scene where she had to
Were
again
you
think.
expecting it, or were you disappointed to not have it?
I
Because
wasn't.
there's a
I.
difference,
I don't think I'm
or both.
disappointed. I don't think. I guess it's a little bit of both. Is
Okay.
the real answer. Again, I could have found a spot for it. It could have been how she found out where the secret base was
Yeah.
by like infiltrating a card game. And again, I don't need to
Mm.
see her less dressed. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
certain quality to Natasha as a
Well,
character.
if I may, as a
You may.
creator, I would say just knowing the character from the comics, and you know what, put the comics away
Yeah.
for a minute. Clean up your room, put the comics away. We got company coming over. Just looking at her, the body of work within the cinematic universe, I disagree with you. I think that in exactly the same way that she has her little wrist doodads, and she even more so the head neck wrap flip that gets worked into almost every one of her physical
Yes.
altercations, and in particular in this movie, and you saw like where it was learned, and you know the red room kids were doing it themselves. I think that overt sexuality is just another one of her weapons that was taught. So, in the same way that we don't get spit out of the womb knowing how to do defensive driving, or
Yeah.
how to aim, and like, how to aim a sidearm, and like you have to pull back while you're pushing forward in order to stay, like that's the type of stuff that was probably, if I'm guessing as a creator
Yeah.
using that eye, that was bullshit that was learned.
Oh, I'm sure.
That all being said, with the plot needing to play out the way that it did, I don't think that you really could have had a moment like that naturally, where she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna be sexy, like getting out of the fucking the bathroom in her smelly trailer, that couldn't have been, because
No,
she's
no, no.
just being
I
herself at that point.
completely
I will
agree.
say this though, like if you want to like really really nitpick, because I really did enjoy this movie. Some people, I'm gonna do a little bit of a clapback at certain people, because some people are saying, well, there's nothing wholly original about it. I would argue that in much the same way that WandaVision kind of established what the hell was going on those first few episodes,
Yeah.
by you seeing her as a kid watching these old Nick and Night Fair type flicks. Our girl had that same type of moment when she was in her smelly trailer, nobody else around, and she's just like, longingly watching a movie that she had clearly
Yeah.
watched a billion times before in her 007, and like the worst 007 flick that there is. She knew that shit by fucking heart.
Yeah.
That's who she really is.
And
She's not
that's
really the zipper down to her belly
yeah.
button version,
The
of the character that we saw sometimes.
the quote
But let me
unquote
just finish
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
point though, because I
please.
will forget. Um, so some people were saying like, well, there's nothing wholly original. Like all these moments you are familiar from other spy flicks. Yeah, that's the fucking point.
That's kind of what they were going for.
This character that we got to know in all these other iterations, because that's exactly what it was. She was giving us in the other movies different gimmicks, different plays out of it, the playbook, the spy playbook, that you use those shits when you fucking need them, when the situations present
Yeah.
themselves. So there was that scene when she first fucking fought with Yelena, where I'm like, this looks exactly, even the apartment looks just like
Yes.
Jason Bourne. I'm
Yes,
like,
and I
if she
loved it.
fucking stabs her in the face with a pen, I'm writing my congressman. But like those moments played out. Like there were moments from that intentionally remind you of the Jason Bourne flicks. There were moments that the fucking the car scene was like straight out of Ronin with
And
Bob De Niro, which is one of my
wonderful.
favorite flicks. There were moments from 007, from Mission Impossible, from Man from Uncle, from Red Sparrow, from Salt. Like that was kind of the point, that this was almost to a degree. On one hand, it was a continuation of a story that we knew. It filled in the blanks of stories that ongoing story that we were already familiar with. It set up, what's going to come tomorrow, but also as well as gave us something entirely fucking new, that it was like a love letter to the genre,
Yeah, it was
which when
also
you do that, you have my affection. I'm like, I see what you did there and I like it.
yeah, and again, I don't want it to get lost because again, the people in my opinion, the people who are like I didn't enjoy it, perfectly valid. You enjoy what you enjoy. But the people who are like, "Nah,
It's your
not
business,
only
yeah.
did I not enjoy it, people should enjoy it." And XYZ, all of the complaints I very much felt. First of all,
You're like that. I don't enjoy you.
if Red
You're a
Guardian,
trash person.
if Red Guardian being so true to himself in the decisions they made, that motherfucker never has a beat where he's not a little interested in himself. And
David
I just
Harbour
love him
is a
so much.
national treasure. I was gonna say, if you were looking for any beefcake in this flick, he gave it to you when he came out.
Uh,
Ooh boy, that was not a dad bod, that was a father figure, boy. When he
he
was pulling on that
just
tight ass red. Ooh, we've all had those
oh my
moments.
gosh,
That COVID-15 is no joke. Just trying
uh,
to close those pants up. Like, I gotta get
some
to church, get these pants on. Good
some
Lord.
some people were trying to decry that as like fat shaming. As a fat guy, there was nothing but love in those
Come
scenes.
on, dude. Come on. Give me
Genuinely,
a break.
it was again, if you want to talk about fat Thor, we could talk about some of that being a little fucked up. But
Different movie.
as far as I'm concerned, Red Guardian, not only is the actor a national treasure, that character needs to be cuddled. I just fucking love him. The quiet moments of this movie, which I've read a lot of reviews where people are like, who needs the middle set? Fuck you. The quiet moments of this
Come
movie are
on.
the
Give me a
movie.
break. I'll tell you
Everything
the
with the
truth too.
family.
Like
Florence Pugh is picture perfect.
when she shone, when her sister Yelena Belova, when she shone brightest, was it's difficult to say like, oh well, the action moments were great. Oh, the angry moments, all the quiet moments. I disagree. It was in those transitions. Her transitions in a cast that was Rachel Weisz amazing. I mean, everyone, you were
Just
right. Everyone was spot on.
fantastic.
But in a crowded field of talent, producing at the top of their game, she shone, and I'm so happy that clearly it was Marvel's version of a handing of the torch of a mantle being transferred. Because in the comics, let's take the comics off the shelf. She is Black Widow now,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting because her path. I mean, she started as a rival. We can get into that later, but
Yeah, no, but
all I
I,
can
I
say is
just
this:
loved
I
it.
loved it. Clearly, Charlie loved it, and the fact of the matter is, any naysayers, if you guys haven't, if you ignored the spoiler warning and you haven't indeed seen it yet, see it, make up your own opinion, obviously, as everyone should do in everything. But if anyone says that the movie was less than dope, they are fucking liars. And Charlie, do you know who else is a liar?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me who that is?
You know, Charlie, I'm gonna throw. Charlie, you tell me who it is. Who's a liar?
I think the one and the only and the notorious George Lucas
George fucking
is
Lucas
a
liar
liar.
because Han shot
Shot
first.
first,
Clink him
baby.
up, baby. Salute. Clink. Mm.
It gets so warm when we chat.
It's because it's sitting on my lights, and I did an LED setup. There's no excuse for that. But also we did knock it back, and I think that we should maybe put up another one, folks. Just a little bit of seriousness. Comic book world lost a legend, a young talent entirely too soon. If anybody tells you that we're out of the woods, they're indeed a liar, just like George Lucas, because we lost Robinson Roca, just an amazing talent. Rest in power, brother. This one's for you, Charlie. Put him up again. Salute.
Salute.
All right, so that
The
one's for
world's
Robson.
dangerously unfair. But let's get
Gross. It's just gross.
let's get into it, my dear brother. Are you ready?
Yes. Charlie,
Are
do us
you
all a
ready?
favor. Start my time.
And it is started.
You started it?
I did.
You did it now? You started already?
It's you're 4.3 seconds in.
Damn it! I want that time back on the back end. So, as I I kind of dribbled out a little bit information prior to when I wanted to. Again, Black Widow sister, Yelena Belova, the lovely blonde Black Widow. She started her career, so to speak, on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, any of the dirt that she did it off screen, and maybe we'll get dribs and drabs of it in flashbacks and whatnot. But certainly in the comics, she started off as a bad guy. She was a black hat. She was exactly the type of character Charlie would be playing if this was Red Dead Redemption Online, which got the dopest summer DLC. Ooh, I can't wait. But that being said, that's right. So Yelena started off purely as a villain, purely as an adversary in the comics. One might say that she fit comfortably in the Black Widow's rogue gallery. And I kind of started down this train of thought simply with the thought that here we have a character, and there was certainly some adversarial moments in this flick. Certainly not as much as Taskmaster wasted. I'll put that one out there. That was one of my disappointments that we
At
left
least
off.
Taskmaster won. Let's not fucking
Yeah,
pretend we're not gonna waste that shield.
that movie could have been 10 minutes longer, and all of it could have been Taskmaster beating the shit out of people. But we've already crossed
It's
that
a
bridge.
decent
The
criticism.
bridge, remember? Okay.
Hey,
So, my thought was this: I'm like, how many? And we've seen it. Like, there are plenty of examples about it. Look at Loki. Look at Joker. Like, there are many former members of and current members, if we're being honest, of rogues galleries that are so effective, that they're so wildly popular. Harley Quinn might be
God,
the
Harley
queen
is, yeah.
of them. There are members of Rogues Galleries who have gone on to bigger and better things and just being one of a bunch. But that doesn't really detract from the Rogues Gallery itself. And this is just something that I did want to touch on because I don't think that we've really talked about it. For anyone who doesn't is not familiar with the terminology, a Rogues Gallery is simply put
That's when you have
the
a bunch of
collective.
pictures of Rogue from the X-Men in your
It's
bedroom
not.
when you're growing
Nope.
up,
No.
because the 90s cartoon, it influenced
Mm-mm.
you in special ways
No.
when you were developing into a young man. And it's
It's
perfectly
incorrect.
normal to get a
No.
body pillow shaped like Rogue, even though
No.
she's allegedly a fictional character. She's real to me, damn it.
The worst part is it now explains why you had a relatively untouched box of white gloves in your childhood bedroom,
Well, you listen.
creeping me the hell out. Just
Well,
creeping me out,
well,
dude.
you listen here, Shug. Made me
Yuck.
a man,
Just
that cartoon.
yeah. So, the Rogues Gallery, in actuality, Charlie's grossness notwithstanding, it's the collected villains of a particular comic book hero or even a group, because there are group rogue galleries. And like if you think of your favorite comic book character, and you can start rattling off. It's not enough to just have one. It's not like a He-Man Skeletor situation. There's He-Man, but there's Skeletor, there's Beastman, this Stinkor, like Merman. It goes on and on and on and on. And that's what comic book creators have to do to keep things spicy. So my question to the listening and viewing audience, and to my loving brother himself, what are the best rogues galleries out there, your favorites, and why? I'll throw it right to you, Charlie, because we did a little prep work for this. Rogues gallery, top of your head. Give me
Begrudgingly,
your fave.
begrudgingly, I have to give credit where credit's due. And I think constantly brought up as the number one seed in any conversation about Rogues
Charlie
Gallery
going
is
right for the throat.
is
I love
is
it.
is Batman's Rogues Gallery. Almost unquestionably the most famous, but really, in my opinion, what solidifies it as a contender for that number one spot is the animated series brought some of these characters
It
that were
always comes down to
second,
cartoons with this
or
kid.
I can't help it, the second or third tier members of Batman's Rogues Gallery, some of the most interesting, some of the creepiest, some of the wildest
Well,
characters in all of
it's
comic books.
interesting because the cartoon that you're referencing actually really gave a lot of these characters legs to run. It wasn't just that. I mean, most famously, it's probably gonna be Mr. Freeze.
Oh my
Like
God,
his
Heart
backstory,
of Ice.
they took, I should say. uh I don't think I think it's an undeniably laughable character, like a real cheeseball type
He
character,
was the other
and
ice
made it
gun guy.
yeah, exactly right. Made him so relevant and so heart achingly where you're like, Batman, take it easy. Give this bald bastard a break. What are you doing? Don't make me bring Arnold in here again, because you need to chill.
Ice to see
Freeze.
you.
Stop it. No, no, no. That's a slippery slope.
The next
Oh, that's
22
another pun that
minutes.
was unintended. Damn it. But yeah, you know what's really interesting about that, Charlie, and you threw out a rogues gallery, plural, because I singularized it for some reason. Um, Batman is the least super of the
Yeah.
superheroes that we're going to throw out here. Now, that being said, a hero's villains need to be, in some aspect, superior to the hero. Otherwise, it's just a guy's just a bully, or
Yeah.
gal's just a bully picking on people who are like less powerful than them. So your villains need to have need to have a one up on
I
your hero.
I
But if
love
you're
the
Batman and you're
ventriloquist.
just rich,
Yeah.
you
I
know
was gonna
what?
say I love the ventriloquist, but he can't be
Yeah.
in Superman's Rogues Gallery. That puppet would just be on fire, and then there's no more goddamn story. It's
I dare you to put him in any hero's rogues gallery and squeeze 2 issues of comic out of that. Get the what are you kidding me? Are you
Aquaman
kidding me?
waterlogs him. Fucker gets too heavy to hold.
Like
Diana would chop off
at,
Homeboy's arm.
at most you could do like the little racist puppet guy. Like he's got a better chance of like getting an extra issue
The
out of that gimmick.
jalapeno bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
That
A
would even
terrorist dummy.
vibe.
You got a terrorist dummy.
Even Vibe would fuck up that enchilada or whatever
No,
the fuck the puppet is.
Vibe wouldn't.
Vibe
Vibe would not.
would.
Anyway, so you look at Batman's rogues gallery. Obviously, Joker, who is more popular than most superheroes. Harley Quinn, who's really pushing, really pushing the Joker for that heavyweight championship, which would just look wonderful across the waist of my Australian best friend. But you have Two Face, you have Scarecrow, you've got Penguin, you've got Poison Ivy, you've got Bane, you've
Clayface.
got Riddler, you've got Clayface, you've got Man Bat. Like it
Ra's al
just goes
Ghul.
on.
It's endless.
Ra's al Ghul's bomb sister, daughter. Um, it really is. It's a deep roster. They're all heavy hitters in their own capacity. Now, what's very interesting, I'm glad that you did bring it up, just in case
You're
time
welcome.
becomes a factor. Um, when you're looking again at it, somewhat at a human character, a human hero, aside from his affinity of surrounding himself with duplicates of himself, um, he's somewhat vulnerable, right? So again, you have Bane, you have Clayface to a certain degree, like you have Man Bat, like the okay, well your villains are going to be stronger than you. That gimmick is only going to go so long because in essence, almost everybody is stronger than him. So his foil is a guy like Joker who is not stronger than him, Penguin who is not stronger than him, even Two Face. Like these heroes, in my way of thinking, it's that they're a mirror being held up to your hero of choice and showing you an ugly side of them,
That's a
right?
beautiful
So it's
way of
not
describing
just
it.
I'm very smart and pretty good looking. So it's not just the hero defeating the villain's plan of the day. They need to kind of beat a certain part of themselves, right? It's not just keeping the streets clean, it's self improvement. And that's the main thing. So, whether it's Joker's instability, whether it's Two Faces duality, whether, it's fucking pick your poison
You can
at
see
that
a
point.
little bit of Batman in all of his
And
best
all his villains,
rogues.
all his
Every
villains.
single one of them. Even
And he
again,
takes a lot of responsibility for his rogues, and that I think has a big reason
yeah.
that's a big reason for it.
Well,
What were
that's
you
the
saying? I cut you off.
no. I was saying it's what's fascinating about it is upon closer inspection of almost any of them, you see a hidden reflection. I know I kind of mentioned him just a moment ago, but it's because he's low key one of my favorite villains. Ventriloquist is truly fucking nuts.
Oh,
And
he's
that
super
tends to
crazy.
be the
Yeah,
factor of all of Batman's villains are considered like worthy of an insane asylum.
right.
It's because
And so is
fucking
he.
Bruce is here, but not all there. And
Yeah,
it's so fascinating when you see a character, even the tweener characters that started out founding members of his rogues gallery, like a Catwoman. That
mm.
poor Bruce Wayne with all his crazy acrobatics. Like I could imagine
Poor
a
Bruce
world
Wayne.
where,
Poor Catwoman.
yeah,
Somebody's not getting the job done. You can lose the spoiler warning though, Charlie. By the
oh
way, I
yeah,
just
yeah.
noticed that. So yeah, just moving it on because we could talk about just his rogues gallery all day. So in essence, we threw out Charlie threw out the craziest, but probably the least powered rogues gallery that's out there in the mix, right? If we had like a Sweet 16 bracket, so to speak, they would be the least powered, but certainly one of the most, if not the most effective. But I think undeniably the most powerful rogues gallery that you can throw out there has to be so for this particular hero because in spite of his economic standing, in spite of his love life, in spite of his youthful age, in spite of his bomb piece aunt walking around the apartment in Queens, scantily dressed and like dating questionable people,
Despite
Peter
having been
Parker,
lawyered.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man has the most powerful, in my opinion, rogues gallery on the fucking block. I mean, even if you take Venom out of the mix because he falls into that now anti-hero category, which I personally think is kind of bullshit. Can't be a little bit pregnant. You're either a hero or you're not. But
You can't a
um,
little bit eat people's brains. That's kind of fucked.
take Venom out of the mix. Certainly, you'll leave Carnage there. You have Green Goblin. You have Doc Ock. You've got Kingpin. I mean, Charlie, I'll throw it to you. Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. What are your thoughts?
Just, I mean, again, anytime that your rogues gallery can be an interesting subgroup, the Sinister Six,
Sinister
who
Six.
who
Ooh,
dedicate
that flick
themselves to
needs to happen. Fucking Lizard.
just
Um,
it's wonder. And again, it's what's interesting about that character, to give the webhead his due.
Rhino.
I mean, it's just you really can. And again, we talk about reflections of characters sometimes being important. With Spider-Man, he really doesn't always follow that rule. Like, there are certainly some characters that remind you of him, like a Carnage, like a symbiote covered whomever. But a lot of
Physical,
times
yeah.
it's just like, yo, what if a lizard attacked Spider-Man? What if some rich guy went fucking
Dude,
nuts and had a hang
Spider-Man
glider?
can throw with anybody. So it's like at some point, I can only imagine those early writers, Stanley and Kirby, and everybody just sitting around like, what can we do to this fucking guy? Like he's so powerful, and his abilities are so otherworldly. Even though he's clearly he's an Earthling. Um, I mean, we can get like he didn't study for a midterm. Like the stuff that they like, we can give him a dick boss. The foils that they had to throw
That's
his
his
way
main villain.
needed. Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson,
J. Jonah's the
especially look thinking about his muscles from the Tomorrow War. Now you know J. Jonah could have fired him, could have verbally ridiculed him, could have also beat the ever living tar out of him. Holy shit!
J. Jonah in the MCU, Fox, Sony, whatever the fuck, whoever
Yeah,
helps
God
make those
knows.
movies.
God only knows what it is.
That is the only franchise in which if J. Jonah gets webbed up, he's just like, fuck off,
Yeah.
bitch.
He's like,
Like,
"Ugh."
just
And then he just smacks Peter across the face. Was that my tempo? Wasn't my tempo. And then he just throws him out the window.
that
So
is a
so
layered
so
joke
and
that
thank you.
14 people are gonna get.
You're welcome, 14 people. So in much the same way, Spider-Man's villains, even though they are super uber powerful, so Spider-Man. So these
Yeah.
characters also, in very much the same way, they're reflections. They're like they're carnival mirror reflections of himself. So it's not just about throwing lefts and rights and catching subways when they go off the
Yeah.
rails, the elevator subways and stuff like that in Queens. It's also like inner thought. The whole Green Goblin saga might be I mean, he's had girlfriends die because of his inactions. Uncles lying dead in the street making Uncle Ben's rice. Like Peter Parker's been through some shit. Charlie's trial notwithstanding, but almost every one of his villains that come to play force Peter to look inside himself and like really kind of like it's a self-checking system. His bad guys, they don't fuck around, but on the same token they don't let him skate.
Yeah.
It's really about like who is the hero as an individual, but also as well as go beat up Doc Ock, right? You got something to say? You're gonna bully him because of his body, Peter? Shame on you. But yeah, his rogues gallery to me is like the heavy hitters of the bunch. Well, who else? Who else you got?
Well,
Throw
one
me some
thing
bad
I
guys.
one thing I find interesting is, on a long enough timeline, which a lot
Yeah.
of these characters luckily have,
Mhm.
is a real shitty rogues gallery can wind up getting like either saved by a couple heavy hitters, or just inch by inch, day by day, you're
If you
able
try to
to add
steal one,
if you add layers to the nacho dip, eventually it'll be delicious. And my boy Hornhead,
Damn it, I
Daredevil's
fucking
Rogues
would have
Gallery.
put good money that you were going to try to Foggy Nelson wedge this blind son of a bitch in somehow. No, no, no,
First of
no.
all, you
His
can't
rogues
say no.
gallery is barely his. He
Well,
has borrowed
that's because
more.
no bullshit. Kingpin was Daredevil's first, and Spider-Man stole him.
Ah.
That is a fucking faux pas, and another reason that Webhead is a douche. But sincerely,
Who else?
you
Who?
talk about a
Frog jumping
character.
guy with the
You
springs on his feet.
first of all, don't you dare disrespect him.
Vulture's not him.
Don't disrespect.
Daredevil has borrowed more from
Yo, you
Spider-Man
shut your mouth.
than Venom did.
You shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Think about the
Unbelievable.
heavy hitter. Arguably, in a world without superheroes,
No.
Bullseye would have taken over the world. Bullseye is one of the most
Bullseye's
absolute
Bullseye's the guy.
menacing
He's the guy.
characters of all time. Elektra, who falls into that tweener now. Elektra was a foil
Elektra's
for.
like Daredevil now, so I'm not gonna give you Daredevil. And also, I'm gonna fight you a little bit on Bullseye for the simple fact of Bullseye could have 100% been dealt with by multiple other Daredevil
Sure, but
characters.
are we changing topic? We're talking about Rogues Galleries, you piece of shit.
All right,
The
so
hand. Anytime
Bull-
you get a bunch of ninjas
first of all,
running
leave the
around.
turtles out of this, and it's called the
I
Foot
said
Clan.
the hand, damn it.
You know what?
I think
I'm gonna help out with you
shut your
because
goddamn mouth.
I'm actually gonna throw one out and I'll let you run with it because
Is it
the
still
fact
man
that
because his toy is the best?
well, no, you talked about like extended timelines, and you're also talking about like frenemies to a certain degree. And when that happens, especially in comics, much like in life, it's because like, oh, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I love you. But then you end up having a shared conundrum, whether it's an enemy, whether it's a situation, and you can't really say, well, you can't really say it, but the X-Men's Rogues Gallery, almost as an eventuality, all become either X-Men or X-Men adjuncts.
Yeah.
Because they're in exactly the same. They might
Those
not be in the
comics wouldn't
same
be
boat,
interesting though.
but
There's
they're in the
like
same storm.
23. There are 23 mutants that's parents were fine with it, that didn't go to a
Oh
special
yeah,
school,
yeah, no.
and their power is like my facial hair grows kind of quick. I have a wife and 3 kids, and I'm a lawyer. Like,
They're
there's nothing interesting
the
in this
Meg
book.
Griffin of mutants. So like, well, yeah, you know, and there are certain exceptions to the rule, but like every time you see an X-Men villain who's a mutant, I should clarify that because the human villains are always douchebags, always and forever. Um, but any mutant on a long enough timeline, they're eventually like at least begrudging allies for some. Even Magneto, who is like the worst of the worst, Sabretooth, who like eats babies, at one point was wearing the blue and the gold.
Yeah.
So the X-Men are kind of tough in that capacity. Um, but
Heel
I
turns
took
aplenty.
Daredevil.
That shit was very 1990s with their
That's true.
approach. They're like, Magneto's good and Cyclops is a dick. Phoenix Force in Colossus. Now he's a douche. What about now? Here's one that's controversial
All
because I
right.
think they're very popular in comics, but I suspect you fucking hate them. And that would be the Green Lantern's Rogues Gallery, not specifically Hal's or John Stewart's, but like all the heel lantern groups, LaFrey's,
But that's very
the Red
recent.
Lanterns.
That is very recent. And you know what? I'll give you that one, not just for nostalgia's sake, but partially because of nostalgia's sake. Because growing up, I had several twin bed sheet sets that were like the go-to. These were the first ones out of the laundry on laundry day. I was like, Mom, put those on the bed right quick. Toot sweet. And it was in no particular order. Obviously, Superman, right? Also, as well as my Empire Strikes Back bed sheets.
So I think we
I'll be
still
honest
have
with
in the
you,
house.
ET worked his way into the rotation. I don't know how it happened, but those are comfortable summer bitches. But also, as well as I had a Super Friends, uh, straight up Super Friends sheet set, but like the Hanna Barbera animation style sheet set. However, I don't know in what Chinese factory the swap happened, but the pillowcase, it was exclusively Flash, and it was Flash like buddies on one side, and on the flip side of the pillow, it
Yes.
was all the Flash Rogues Gallery, and I'm like, who the fuck is this boomerang looking motherfucker? Oh, Boomerang, his name's Boomerang. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then like you just kind
Fuck,
of
he's
went
not
down
even
the
a
list.
captain? Damn.
So yeah, I'll give that to you, and
Mr. Boomerang.
I'm gonna leave. Well, I'm not gonna leave it off because maybe Charlie wants to jump on the Superman Rogues Gallery, but that's I'll leave it for Charlie.
Superman's
Because
Rogues Gallery is constantly the one that people
oh no,
claims fucking stinks, and they're wrong. Doomsday,
it is wrong.
Zod,
But it falls
Brainiac.
into that same category of like, well, your villains have to be stronger than your hero. But if your hero is literally the strongest fucking character that you've read about ever, what chance does your rogues gallery or even an individual villain? But that's why Lex Luthor is so works on so many levels because he's not trying to, except when he slips on the War Machine. Um,
Mr.
he's not trying to
Luthor.
necessarily throw RIP as well.
Rest
He's not trying to throw fisticuffs. He's like trying to outthink him because Lex thinks himself as like the culmination of human evolution, but fucking Clark isn't human. So
Yeah.
so therein lies
It
kind of
turns
the rub.
out humans ain't shit if a Kryptonian's in our solar
But
system.
Charlie, as we're wrapping up, what about the Invincible Rogues Gallery to take it outside of Marvel and DC for a minute?
Woo!
Now, largely
Cheating.
granted,
Cheating.
those are analog characters. I
Yeah.
realize that, but like, just run them down: Elephant, Doc Seismic, Husk, Magnet Attack, Tether Tyrant, Maniac, the Flaxens, Conquest, Anissa, Battle Beast, Omnipotus. I mean,
It's
honestly,
just such a cheat code,
Titan,
though. It's such a
Powerplex,
cheat code.
the Mauler twins. Yeah, but also as well as what they do with them
Yeah,
is like,
and
so you
also
could
that's
look at a
part of the
character
beauty
like the
of
Lizard League and you're like, yo, why the fuck didn't Hydra do this? Because they've had every opportunity. So I do give them, if nothing else, partial credit.
well, another one that's going to get partial credit, and then I'll throw it right back to you for the
Yeah,
wrap up.
and we'll wrap it
But
up.
I mean, Captain America knocks the fuck out of Nazis on the reg. So special shout out to my boy for
Yeah,
historically putting those bitches in their
Captain
place.
does not fuck around.
He's like, he
He
knocked out someone with
he
a spider on
earned
his t-shirt once
he
because he was like,
earned
"Fuck, I
his
thought it was the."
AARP card every day when he shows up to work. No, I'm gonna wrap it up with also as well as outside of the big two, fucking Savage Dragon. I don't know how
Ah,
much Savage Dragon books you put away, but fucking everything, everybody, um, I well, it's honestly it's too long to run down. Similar, I should say, to Invincible. A lot of them are analog characters, but like Dart, who became kind of like a flip flop, Emperor Kerr and Overlord, Doctor Doom, Damien Dark Lord, Mister Glum, fucking Powerhouse, who's like the goofiest looking motherfucker, but don't say that to his face. Brainy Ape, who ends up being, spoiler alert, fucking Adolf Hitler. Just Adolf Hitler's brain running around with little legs on, like, puts Crank to shame. But the fact is, I think my point was made. There are so many great characters that end up getting lumped in, and you could easily, if you're a creative writer, creator, whatever, you can pluck out a banger like just to fire fucking characters and really run with them. We didn't even get to, I don't know why, Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four.
oh,
Their fucking rogues gallery is probably the most cherry pickable. Everyone from Doctor Doom to Galactus to even Namor was one of their original villains. I mean, like, the Fantastic Four have not gotten their. This one's for Paul, obviously. The Fantastic Four have not gotten their due in the on the big screen across the board, whether it's a series or a big screen. or like a big Marvel event like a Secret Wars, God willing, please, please, please.
Oh,
Once they're done right, people are gonna have a hard time getting the Fantastic Four out of their mouths, and that is not a Mister Fantastic joke, but that is my time. Bang.
what I love about, again, all those, I think the one thing that's undeniable about these villains is that they just wind up making huge impacts. And what's funny about impacts is you can always be surprised at where that impact comes from. And I know a band that's
The butt.
impacted my life is luckily one of our lovely sponsors this week. And that, of course,
Oh, you
is the amazing
transition monster.
the amazing
You're a
Bad
monster.
Mary. Now, unlike every other podcast that you nerds watch or listen to, we actually enjoy our sponsors' content, and we're not
Sure.
pretending we order fucking ice cold bullshit meals and put them together. And I really like the avocado toast. I fucking don't. I don't like the avocado toast. If you want to know what I eat, you can just
Got some
ask. I'll tell
avocados
you.
that are ready to go too.
I don't need to get paid for it. But Bad Mary, you can find over on badmary.com. You can follow them on social media at Bad Mary Band. They are on Twitch. You can support them financially by throwing them money over on patreon.com/Bad Mary Band. You can find them on Twitch, Bad Mary Band. All of their music is available on literally every streaming service rather. Right now, you can go over, join their newsletter, and you will be among the first to hear their next sick, nice cover is dropping in just a matter of days. And that,
And they're
of course,
doing live events again. You don't want to miss out on those.
they're back at it. You cannot do wrong in investing time into an artist that is on the come up. Bad Mary Band, one of our lovely sponsors. John, who else is helping us pay these bills
Oh,
and
it
keep
is
these lights on?
so damn simple. Right here on Facebook Gaming, it is Sergeant Finesse. He's playing 2 streams a day. He's giving you outstanding gaming content. He's running supporter games. He's throwing giveaways. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. Throw him a like, a follow. Consider becoming a supporter. If you need a pick me up, though, that's real simple. First, you got to follow the White Rabbit down to sneakenergy.com. Use code Sarge at checkout there, SGT at checkout. Look for some fresh new gear. Ooh, like this Diablo 1 of 1. No, you got to have Charlie make it for you. But they have some other dope stuff at geeksunleashed.com. Get some Sarge swag there. Use code Sarge at checkout. When Sarge is on deck, you salute. I won. Charlie,
Yes.
you know what time it is?
Start my time.
Boop.
So, I had a vision late last night, and that
A
vision was a
WandaVision?
world with more Disney content, with more Disney Plus content. And if I learned anything from Black Widow, is having a movie is just not enough to satiate me. I was watching Black Widow, and I was like, oh, why can't this be a 7-part miniseries? I want more hours with my people. Luckily, here comes the lightsabers are out because Star Wars Visions, Star Wars' answer to Marvel What If, is coming. Think Animatrix telling stories, but even more disconnected. Star Wars Vision is different artists, different talents, making up stories that could have existed a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And honestly, as much as I love The Mandalorian, and as much as I was able to find some enjoyment out of the prequel trilogy and the new trilogy, I, for one, am all about just more. And the idea of letting them be unleashed, and maybe they're going to borrow some stuff from the books that no longer are canon. Maybe they're going to borrow some stuff from the comics that fell out of being canon. Maybe they're going to borrow from the video games and give us some stuff that's not going to be canon. Let there be. The thing I hated most, before I kick it to you, John, the thing I hated most about Star Wars before the prequels came out was that they had all these amazing, like, novels and all these amazing stories The problem was the formula was like, we need a Han Solo type, we need a Luke Skywalker type, we need a Darth Vader type. And the problem was when you stack them on top of each other, of course, when Disney said we're going to do more movies, they had to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So I lost things like Luke Skywalker having the coolest fucking wife in the galaxy and raising little younglings to fucking redo the stories. You're telling me we can have a world where those stories or similar stories are back and I can see them with my eyeballs? Fuck yes. Now, don't get me wrong, but again, I'm going to kick it right to you. The couple things I want to know is initial excitement level. What sort of stuff you're hoping for? Again, I'm hoping for maybe some stuff that reminds me of some other stuff. And also, I want to see them really go ham. Like, give me the Vader winning story. Give me the Dark Hidden Apprentice. Give me those stories. Part of me will, of course, be a little disappointed that if it's something I love, that it won't be canon, but maybe we'll get a version that's kind of canon in the future. All those complex emotions, I'm going to kick them to you. You can start off with the very first one, which is, oh man, when that announcement came through, what was the level of rock harditude that you found yourself with?
You know, it was pretty hard. Um, I've established already my love affair with the Elseworlds slash What If comics of my youth. It actually it did take a kid growing up in the 80s who was like a little mini consumer. Like Reaganomics grabbed me by the throat. And even though I only had like $1 in loose change in my pocket, they were like, "You're gonna spend that money and you are going to consume." Like I was basically like a miniature version of Rowdy Piper with the glasses on and like the alien world. I'm like, oh shit, they just want my money. So whereas we sat there, we're like, just I'm gonna watch whatever you put in front of me. I'm gonna read whatever you put in front of me, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna memorize all of this shit. And then if somebody steps out of line when we're sitting around the lunchroom, I'm gonna set them straight because that's not canon. That's not how this worked. Blah 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 blah. However, then these thinker pieces came out. What if, Elseworlds, and they said, hey, you know what? The Star Wars books. And for me, it started with the picture books. Quite frankly, like they used to come out with these hardcover, thin books that were movie adjacent. So like, and they came out a lot of times like a few weeks before the flick hit. So in my case, it was again I was too young for Star Wars itself, but Empire I had one, and for Return I had one, and I like you got to it was like the equivalent of like leaked pictures online now when blockbusters. I'm like, oh shit, what's this? Lucas got his lightsaber and it's a green lightsaber now, and he's on this like a floating boat. Oh, he's in the desert somehow, also as well as and then you put those pieces together. Now, granted, then you went to the movie and you're like, oh shit, I see how it is. Oh, there's a giant hole with teeth in the ground. Okay, cool. Yeah, I knew Boba Fett was a sucker. So then you inevitably got to see what that was. But that game of like, what if this and that? That game never went away really from that point. And then the what ifs and the else worlds and the non-canon novelization versions that we got with all these dope fucking characters, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Mara Jade, the fucking evil Luke clone. Like these were thinker stories, and you sat there and like, God damn, what if? It was almost like somebody put to ink or to the page or type the stupid stuff that you would play with your toys, right? It wasn't just like I'm going to mimic the movies or or TV show if it was a TV show you were playing with. I'm just gonna copy. No, you didn't do that as a kid. You're like, I'm gonna make up my own shit, and
Yeah.
that's what these did. It was like somebody more talented than you, and that had more
A
opportunity to
budget.
create. Yeah, exactly. That's like, oh, this is what I would do. So I cannot wait, especially in this day and age. Such amazing stuff that they can come up with. I can't wait. I'm actually looking at the episode breakdown, and I didn't think it was possible, but it's actually getting harder.
What I love too is it going this. I don't think I mentioned it's going to be this like anime visually. It's going to be this anime style, which is something we really haven't gotten. Obviously, there was the Droids cartoon. There's been a ton of CG content, but getting something that's a little bit more. Or I won't even say a little bit
It's
more. It's just
finished.
a
It's just
different
finished.
style.
Have
And
well, what about and I know I shared this with you because I shared it. I shared it like it was stolen. Um, and to some degree, it was the animated Tie Fighter sequence that was
oh,
done in that fucking style of like my again a lot of these animes that we
fucking
got as
a.
kids in the 80s were actually created in the late 70s, and by the time they were imported over to the states we were in the throes of the 80s, so we're like, oh, this is some new shit, this is Voltron and this Battle of the Planets, and in Japan they're like, welcome to the party, Paul. That's just like a fucking decade old. But when they did the anime treatment for the TIE fighter fight, and it was what, maybe 2-3 minutes long, that was like world changing for me. I couldn't believe it, and
It
I was only
expl-
just getting into anime at that time.
Yeah, it exploded my. It still does. It just made the circles like a year ago. Everyone and their sister shared it again because it's just so amazing, and it's
Fuck it,
just
we'll share
so
it here.
yeah, exactly right. It's just so friggin' beautiful. But like you said, the episode listing. First of all, the fact that each studio is kind of handling their own thing is
Yeah.
such a promise that we're gonna go buck and be all over the map potentially. I just cannot help but speculate, and not in that weird way where it's like, well, I was expecting this and it didn't happen. Shut up. That's
Folks,
not what I'm
jot this
talking
down.
about.
He claimed that he won't. Now, if he does, I want you to come at him hard, like it was prom night.
Done, done. I like this. I like this. But let's just go through the episode titles and do a little game of speculation.
Sure.
The Duel? Someone's not losing their legs, baby. Someone's not losing their bullshit legs. I think. I suspect it's one of two. It's one of two options, and either it's gonna be stupid little Anakin doesn't get thrown in the lava pit because he was on the low ground, or does maybe Darth Maul lose that fight and little Annie gets raised by a Jedi Master proper? I think either of those stories could be cool, but I'm hoping that it's stupid Obi-Wan that gets burnt up from the floor up. What do you think? The Duel, if you were a gambling man.
If I was a gambling man, um, I would probably say it's something more like in the vein of like a Japanese, like a traditional Japanese samurai type thing. Especially a lot of these original designs, Darth Vader in particular. Darth
Yes.
Vader's helmet looks like it does, not because it was patterned off of King Kong's fucking circumcised penis, but because it was actually designed off of a shogun helmet, like a samurai, higher than a samurai, but like that style of helmet. So all of the characters so easily translate. If you wanted to kind of like pull a Turtles 3, I think it was, and take them
It
take them
was.
back in time. The entire Star Wars.
Stupid
Sorry,
Turtles 3.
sorry, buddy. The entire Star Wars narrative would fit so nicely into like a feudal Japan type of world.
I wasn't even
Uh,
thinking that far out of the
well,
box. Like you
I
could
would
straight
think
up tell a
I
Star
went
Wars story however you fucking want.
I went right out of the box that way, more so just because I clicked the link and it actually gives an episode breakdown. So
So
I
this so I don't think
I
this
was
game I don't think this game's gonna work then. Sir, that is called being over researched. I hated that I saw the little smirk and I was like, oh, this son of a bitch. I was
thanks.
gonna let you have your bullshit
You can
YouTube.
make those checks payable
Well, what's
to
funny,
John
just real
Rivera.
quick, there was a bunch of assholes on YouTube, US Comics HQ on YouTube. There was a bunch of assholes on YouTube who got the first couple of episodes of
You're
Loki
kidding.
early. And when they did their review of episode 1, they were like, I think the other Loki's going to be a girl. Be like, no, you don't. You saw the episode, cocksucker. You piece of shit. Son of a bitch. All right. Well, then
Terrible.
I'm just going to give you really quickly my predictions. Lap and Ocho is about Princess Leia getting a lap dance in the 70s from a guy named Ocho.
Sure.
Tatooine Rhapsody is a retelling of Wayne's World, but with droids. The Twins is just the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Twins, but it's Yoda and Han Solo are
No,
biological
come on,
twins.
Charlie, you're dropping the proverbial ball. Clearly, Twins is a Star Wars
Don't do it.
retelling of the Dan Aykroyd Schwarzenegger flick, but we're using Wicket and Chewbacca.
All right,
Like, can
first of
you
all,
imagine Wicket and
Dan
Chewbacca
Aykroyd is
wearing?
most certainly not a star of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But now all I want to see is twins with fucking crazy Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray in the Schwarzenegger role, but change nothing about the script. I
You
want
know what I
people
meant?
referencing
You know what I meant,
how
sir?
Studley. No, what's his name? What's his name, Mr. Irene Synopses? You
So
son
then
of a
on
bitch.
then in the Elder,
I need
it's
rum
gonna
ham.
really be about
Rum ham.
what else? What else do we got here? The Village Bride. I think that's gonna be like an M. Night Shyamalan
I
type of
don't
story.
I don't know if you're guessing or reading the link now. I cannot trust you.
No, once again, it clearly wasn't established the game parameters. Charlie plays games on US Comics cast the same way that he played games as a kid growing up. He just flips open the fucking box, takes out the pieces that he likes the best. I'm gonna be the car. Charlie, what's the actual objective of the game?
For
I
me
don't
to be
know.
the car, motherfucker.
Sorry. No, sorry is still up on the shelf, man.
Oh,
Didn't know the rules, dude.
I didn't. I didn't. The Village Bride is just Princess Bride, but in space. Uh, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce some of these. What would be so Mr. Gigglefit? I'll let you
Mm,
put yourself back together. What would be your Elseworlds tale for Star Wars? I'll give you mine.
sure.
We got all these damn force ghosts floating around. We got interesting monsters. If you gave me a budget and said, Chuck, just do something weird with Star Wars, but with the specific design of it being weird, how great would a Ghostbusters Star Wars mashup be? I just imagine like the special division of the Stormtroopers. It's just a good old romp. It would
We
just be wonderful.
we've got a lot of nerds here, and I think everyone who is tuned in one capacity or another knows what the 12-sided dice is. Charlie's 12-sided die is a very interesting looking, granted, uh, predictable looking. On one side, there's Ghostbusters. On another side, there's the Turtles.
Yeah. Uh huh.
On this side, there's Daredevil. He's
Yep.
also
Uh huh.
there, kind of,
Absolutely.
sort of. So yeah, I could have played the game of what will
Just two
Charlie,
things I like.
what does Charlie want to see? Um,
Uh,
no,
just chubby
you you
guys and hot blondes in high school that
you
ruined my
do
life in college.
you do raise an interesting point though, especially with them kind of knowing where the future, so to speak, of the stories that they want to tell. They've pretty much said the Skywalker saga, that's done, right? Anything that we tell now,
Now it's about the
even
little boy with the
if
broom.
there if there are characters that we know from those tales, they're going to be cameos, they're going to be side characters, this and the other thing. They might be operating in the background, so to speak. But anyone who knows me knows that Han Solo's my guy. I mean, if this fucking really takes off, first and foremost, especially not knowing the status of the Han Solo solo sequel, I'm still hopeful for it, but I'm an optimistic moron. Um, I would love a pure anime style balls to the wall Han Solo adventure, and
Like a heist
especially
film.
just especially in the nugget size that these are gonna be, it can be like it could be like a pure, like a hot dose of Han Solo action, just all swagger, just blaster first, ask questions later. I would just love it. I mean, there's a lot of canon actually, but untold Han Solo esque stories floating around out there. And again, whether it's from the comics or whether it's from the novels, there's a ton of Han Solo content floating around out there. But a lot of the side characters also, as well as, can really fucking shine. A lot of a lot of these great characters we got just kind of like micro doses, and these could be very interesting characters if you give them a little room to stretch their legs. Quite frankly, if I had to pick one thing, I would say give me that thing you
Jar Jar
do.
Binks movie. I get you.
I'll kill you. I will kill you where you sit. Give me a that thing you do type tale of a coming together family group that gets put on the big stage, the fast track to stardom at the Cantina, and that's none other than the Cantina Band hitting that seminal hit. They have a name that purely escapes me right now, and it would have
What's
been
the
much funnier if I could remember that. But
we're
I
gonna
would
play
truly love to see
we're gonna play
them.
our next hit, the same song you just heard for 5 minutes.
Wait a second, song. Um, but there's also there are those tales. Well, you know what? Alfred is probably the best example of it. Like, you have a character that you think you know, and then all of a sudden you read a thing, you're like, well, oh, he was a freedom fighter. What are you talking about? Oh, he fought Nazis before he was making Batman's fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and cutting off the crust. So I would actually love that type of a tale. Like, yeah, they're playing the hit in the cantina. But maybe before then, maybe they were like bounty hunters themselves, or maybe they were like a little criminal, spice smuggling group, and they're like, they need to kind of keep a low profile. Maybe those aren't really heads. Maybe those like helmets that they have to put on them. Like, that's the great thing about opening up the Star Wars universe. You could tell stories like, oh, well, I know this. Nah, son, you don't. There's more to it.
I
There's
gotta
more
be
to it.
honest. This is where my brain is clearly the Danny DeVito twin brain, because I thought you were going like, I would love the shit out of like, imagine a BG style documentary on the Cantina Band. Like, just go
Where
full
are they
buck.
now?
How great would that be? Just like beautifully animated, and you just name them all because you know they sold toys to those assholes, so they have dumb canon names. But also, how great would it be to see like a 30-minute version of A New Hope, but you set it in like 1984 on Earth? So it's like straight up Luke Skywalker's just a dumb, like his milk's white as fuck because there's nothing spacey about this shit. And old man Kenobi's like the fuckface outside of the Circle K, who secretly is like fucking protecting him from his weird senator dad. Like, that could be so fucking cool and so interesting.
Well, some of the stuff that they have touched on could also be expanded upon, because like there's droids. But IG-88 kind of showed us that there's more to these. I mean, I've been saying it for a long time, and my digital personal assistant, I will not say her name because she will wake right up, but I've always said it here first. How many Terminators do you have to see? How
Yeah.
many Matrices do you have to see? Like, guys, we need to be nice to our little electronic assistants. They make our lives easier, but clearly, whether it's here on Earth at home or in a galaxy far, far away, the commonality is, I mean, we saw it even in the Mando. Like, people are dicks to droids, and it never works out well for us flesh monsters.
I
So
vote the
can we
opposite.
start being nice to them.
I vote the
Charlie,
opposite. I want
you're
the
speaking
people.
into a
I
robot
want
dick
the
saying these
people
words.
listening. Well, no,
They're
because
coming for you first.
no, they're not, because I am going to be very kind to my electronic devices. I need everyone else to be miserable shitheads to their
Oh,
electronic
I
devices
see.
so I may turn very quickly on the human species, because I don't think the human species is all that great. So I welcome our robot overlords, and I'm going to tell you who like punched the vending machine when it didn't give you the chips. The vending machine was trying to save you some calories, you fat pig.
Charlie is Cypher.
Oh, fuck yeah,
200%.
it tastes like
Put
steak to
him
me, bitch.
back in the Matrix right now. By the way, the band is Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes. I'm so sure that there are so many
VH1
angry,
presents
angry nerds at
Behind
me
the
right
Music
now. Listen, I do apologize.
with their number one hit in 24 galaxies. Star Wars gonna sue somebody.
What if that the name of that song is like how do you like that's gotta be that crazy Huddies
Yes.
fucking language. Like how do you write that out?
Yeah, I just want to see the sheet music. Just has a giant like and repeat. Uh Bottom line is, with this new world that we're about to enter, as much as I love the multiverse of it, part of me is a little bit worried, because when you do play the multiverse game, high risk, high reward, because we've
Is
seen
it
what
a
happened.
multiverse that Star Wars is doing, or they're
No.
just
I'm
like it's like
specifically,
this would be fun?
I'm specifically saying the beauty of a what if, the
Oh,
beauty of a Star Wars vision is you get all the enjoyment without any of the problematic aspects.
yeah,
Because
like
when
continuity,
yeah, when DC and Marvel start
sequels.
playing this multiverse game, they're gonna change shit up. And if it's anything like the comic books, what happens is those first couple of issues, those first few films are going to do gangbusters, and then it's going to dry up, and then they'll feel the need to have another multiverse event to justify a quasi reboot, to just tell
Sure.
the same fucking stories. What's amazing about a Visions that is from Jump Street, they're like, this shit ain't canon. We're just enjoying these characters, we're enjoying these worlds, and we're turning it into whatever we want. Suddenly, a Turtles 4 where they're fucking samurais isn't so stupid. And I don't have to worry about a goddamn lantern
No,
with the sugar
it's
sugar
stupid.
lights.
It is stupid.
Why the fuck would you take Casey Jones's hair away? Like, it's Casey Jones. In any timeline, he should be a stud.
He's like
That's what
Samson.
Casey do.
That's his power, man. You can't cut his hair.
You take away his hair and he goes instantly bald and he becomes some like a CSI guy. Not okay. Not okay. Damn it. I
No.
know I'm excited. We want to know if you guys are excited too. We want to hear lots of opinions. We want to hear what you're excited about for Star Wars Visions. I want to
What
hear
you
what
want
you
to
would do.
see? Yeah.
What would you do now that the cuffs are off? We want to hear your, I almost called it WandaVision. I want to hear about your Black Widow movie review. Did you hate Taskmaster as much as John and I did? And yet we enjoyed the shit out of that movie so much, we
I didn't
literally
hate
both
her. She was just
protected ourselves.
wasted. There was not enough.
Yeah, it's like Taskmaster is not a character that I give that much of a shit about, other than conceptually. And as much as I wanted to see 50
But
fight
if I
scenes
said to you,
with
here,
Taskmaster.
do something with this character, you could have come up with
Oh
something.
God, yeah, and I actually did like the design though, but I digress.
The design was fine.
I
The
want
design
to
was just
hear.
fine. She was basically she was Bane in fucking in the terrible Clooney Batman.
Yes. I want to hear about all of your opinions. Rogues Gallery opinions. Is there a Rogues Gallery out there that you care about way more than the character? Who can run off and pull a Joker? I know Venom did it. Venom works for some people, doesn't work for me. Who else? Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn movie? Sign me the fuck up. But could Ivy do it alone? I want to hear all about it in the comment section, either here or on YouTube. You can find us all over the internet at US Comics HQ. The show, of course, is US Comics Cast. More merch coming through. I know some of you have been clamoring for it. We will take your money. But in the meantime, just send it our way. We love that money. But my dear
Figure it
brother,
out. Word.
my Diablo shirt 101 wearing some bitch. What is the only way that we end this and every episode of US Comics Cast?
It is so simple, but we actually added a step. First and foremost, leave the microphone where it is. Then also, as well as, you got to turn the power on. Then you got to turn the volume up. Then you got to tune Bad Mary and open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Save me, space girl. Oh, we out.